Are you excited about the possibility of changing how you view prosperity and ultimately your life?
Yes.
Good. And if you're ready, you got to be prepared to make some changes, don't you? Yeah. I like to think about the guy who just won that a couple weeks ago, won that $500 million lottery. I mean, think about it. Do you think he was prepared for his life to change that much? I mean, we all say that we would be ready to accept that kind of money, but it would change your life to such a degree that I don't think you would be prepared. I mean, it would be a whole new thing. And the thing about that is that we have the opportunity each and every day to have that same awakening without somebody giving us a check for $500 million. But we have to say that if we are ready for this, then we have to be open and receptive to being ready for it, right? And we have to be ready for our life to change. We can't just keep doing the same thing we keep on doing every day and think, oh yeah, I'm going to be in prosperity consciousness, but yet I'm going to keep doing everything I do the same way each and every day. No, we have to shake things up. We have to have a new view, of divine prosperity, and that's what we're talking about today. And hopefully I'm going to give you a new view of what really prosperity can look like in your life. And I like to begin with Charles Fillmore and the revealing word and his definition right now of divine mind. Because divine mind is God mind, ever-present, all-knowing mind, the absolute, the unlimited, omnipresent, all-wise, all-loving, all-powerful spirit. And if we just start with the beginning line, divine mind, God mind, we can say that divine, when we say something is divine, it is of God, right? So if we say divine prosperity, we're talking about God's prosperity. But the thing that we have to realize in that moment is that when we agree with all this, is that can we agree for ourselves that we are divine prosperity? Because we can say that God is all these things, but can we soak it in and say we are these things too? We are divine prosperity. And the problem is we have to know it for ourselves. That's where the true answer is, the key to opening up all there is in the unlimited abundance of God. We know that the unlimited abundance of God is also in that allness of God, I like to say, or the oneness of God is what we talk about a lot in unity. And when we think about the allness of all there is and that the unlimitedness of all there is, then we can also say that we are connected to all of that through the superconsciousness of what we say metaphysically is superconsciousness, which is that idea of God mind, the capital M mind, coming through us into our own small m mind with divine ideas and all that there is as far as knowledge or anything else. But this is what I've really kind of opened up this whole idea for me, was this definition that Fillmore uses, and he uses mathematics. Fillmore uses the law of mathematics to say that God mind cannot be divided because it is indivisible. Don't you love that little guy? But what this means for us is that God can't be divided amongst us. I mean, I think some people say, oh, God gave that person more talent than me. Or God made this person musically inclined, but not me. But God can't be divided. God is one. So all the amount of God that is in me is also in you, and you, and you, and you, and you. It's the same amount because God can't be divided up. To me, that really clarified the allness and the oneness of God and the idea that we do all have that unlimited potential to have all that we need. That we are all have that divine prosperity, that divine potential within us to bring forth all that we need. You make sense? One person's not going to have more than the other person, only in our small m minds. Because we are all in that same oneness of God. And then we say, all that God is in each of us, to the same degree that it is in God. We haven't even scratched the surface of the allness, and this is so true. If all of what God is in each of us, then I think all of us could say we have so much more potential out there, so much more to tap into, so much more that we haven't even explored. And what do usually? We usually sit at home and think about the things that we want to do or the things we want to explore, but we never put feet to it. We never put action to it. We never go out and actually do it. And sometimes we have to just get our bottoms up and get going with it, right? In order to make a difference. I mean, I like to think about even the idea when we think about all the potential that we have, think about all the varieties and species there are in the world. And even if we just look at humankind, we are all so different. And if you think that even nobody is the same, and think about the variety that God has created in all of us. So that right there should tell us about the divine potentiality of everything, that the divine prosperity and just the ideas that come forth in humankind. It's a perfect example to know that we haven't even tapped into anything. And no matter what we do or what we are working on, we still haven't really touched it all. It is all and always waiting for us to bring forth in our lives. Divine mind is God bringing forth all that we could ever desire. We all have desires in our lives, and we can all bring them forth. We all have moments where we say, gosh, I know I'm supposed to be doing something, or, oh, gosh, that's a good idea, and then we just go on with whatever else our mind is saying. Or we don't stop long enough to even listen to our mind. We just, when all we have to do sometimes is just take a breath and just be in that moment. Every time we pray and meditate, we have the opportunity to listen to those divine ideas. And sometimes it doesn't even take that taking time to pray and meditate. Sometimes it could be in the very conversation you're having with somebody, or pulling up weeds in the garden, or whatever it is that brings forth that for you. When I'm doing my hair or makeup in the morning, I get divine ideas like crazy. I don't know what it is about that, but I have to have paper in my drawer and a pen because I'm like constantly stopping and making notes. There's something about Sandy's shaking her head too, like that's when she gets them too. But when you do that, write them down, because that starts putting action to the thoughts that you are having, which can change our level of divine prosperity, believe it or not. Some of that stuff you'll never go back to, because some of it could be really powerful and really set you on fire. But think about this for a moment. What would it look like for you to have that connection to divine mind, that straight connection to where you are tapping into all that there is? What would that look like for you? And when you think about that, then, what would be different right now in this moment for you? If you brought forth that divine potential, you brought forth that divine prosperity, what would be different for you right now? Because those are questions you need to ask yourself and be ready for. And then, I think it would change everything, because then every thought would be a God thought. And that's like, wow. Can you imagine no more negative thinking at all coming through your brain? Can you imagine just going forth with a God thought, with divine ideas all the time, with that energy of the pureness of God? We do it sometimes, don't we? Like, we might even go all day without complaining or saying anything negative, and by the end of the day we're going, whoa, this has been really a great day, I feel really good. And you might not even relate it to the fact that you didn't go to those other places. But if you really thought about it, you would receive the blessing that you stayed out of that place of negativity or complaining or going to something else other than a God thought. But what will you do with this truth? That's the question. We know these truths, we learn them, we come in here, we hear them, we go to classes, we learn them, and then what do? We walk out and get in the car and go back to whatever we were doing before? No. We have to start practicing. That's why unity is called practical Christianity. It's because Fillmore said we have to practice these truths in our lives. We just can't sit there in church. And some churches, the minister makes it sound like you have to go through them to get to God. But we know in unity that we are all tapped into the same energy. So it is up to us to bring it forth. And that creative power that is within divine mind is in each of us, and we can call it forth. We can choose to bring that power forward. I thought this was kind of a neat analogy because Georgia and Sandy and Mickey and I were talking the other day about how gold was made from the stars. And I thought, wow, gold from the stars. You know, I found this cool picture of the universe. But it's true. I did some research, and the stars actually, you know, built up with energy. Kind of like, I mean, some theories are more like a Big Bang thing, but others are just stars building up the energy, and then they collided with each other, came to the earth, and of course penetrated the ground and went in as gold, okay? So it's kind of neat though, because that power to be able to form the gold is so intense that scientists still can't recreate it. Although there are scientists trying to recreate that because they feel like if they could recreate that energy and cause that, then they would be able to produce gold. And of course, what would that do? Make them really rich, they think. But then, of course, the value of gold probably would go down, which really would be an oxymoron. But the whole thing is that when Georgia told me that, I thought, wow, the energy of gold was so powerful. And you know what? Every divine idea we get has that same amount of energy in it. It is so powerful. It can bring forth gold in our lives. They are golden opportunities for us to bring forth and see that manifest in our lives. So I thought it was a neat analogy to bring them together. Because the thing is, we are always in the creative energy of divine mind. Thus, everything is available to us to bring into manifestation. We can get those divine ideas, and sometimes those divine ideas do collide and cause even a bigger burst of energy. And we, you know, I mean, I have to think that that's how computers were invented, or how people decide they could fly. I mean, you know, we all watch birds and butterflies and stuff, but I don't know if my brain would have said, if they can fly, so can we. You know, I don't know if I would have gone there. But it's these bursts of energy, of divine ideas that bring forth these manifestations in our lives that, of course, can also bless us financially, but also from the idea that we are doing something good, that we are doing something right, that we are helping the rest of the world. When someone says that they're not creative, that's not true. When somebody says they lack energy, that's not true either. We have this creative energy in us. I mean, and it is a constant flow. The creative energy, which is divine, that brings forth the abundance of all there is, never sleeps or dies off. You know, Australia might be in another time zone, but they're not sleeping when we're sleeping, and we're sleeping when they're sleeping. But in the energy of God, it's always alive. It's always moving. It's always there. So even if any of us are sleeping, we could be receiving a message in that sleep. I think that's what dreams are about sometimes. You know, and if you study dreams at all, you know that there are messages that can come from that. But it is a constant flow of ideas which are divine. The goal is to stay in that flow of the divine ideas, to stay in that constant flow. Because everything we do brings forth that divine prosperity, believe it or not. Divine mind, God mind, is available for us and wants us to produce prosperity in our lives. And prosperity can look in all different ways. But you know, as much as we know that truth, it's so easy for us to live in that place that we're not open and receptive. I mean, I know for a fact that I've been in a place where I thought I had nothing. I thought everybody was against me. I thought I was all alone. I thought, oh my God, I've helped all these people and nobody's here for me, you know? And I was down in the dumps and I thought I'd lost everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, why is my life like this? Anybody ever feel that way? Yeah. And the thing is that the minute we get to that place where we're either sobbing in the pillow or whatever, we're to that bottom place, all of a sudden the energy shifts, doesn't it? Something brings us back up. And I believe it's that unlimited energy of divine mind moving through us that says, hey, get off your pity pot and let's move on. Let's look at what is your potential. Let's look at what can be different in your life. And if you've been through that before, then you know you've turned it around and you've pulled yourself out of it, right? And that's the cool part. If we've ever been to that place, then it's easy for us to sit here and think, hey, today I woke up and I was like, not sure about today. I've been in worse places. I've pulled myself out of worse places. Today is a great day. All we have to do is flip the switch of our thinking. And we do that by tapping back into divine mind. Divine mind is God mind, and it's always working through us. The divine mind that's in me is in you, is in everybody. We all have that potentiality to tap into that. And God only wants good for us. So if we tap into that, what's going to come forth? Good. It is going to be good. It is so exciting to think about that in your life if you really think about moving from that truth. But let's talk about prosperity for a minute while we're on that subject, because Fillmore defines prosperity as the consciousness of God as the abundant, everywhere present resource, unfailing, ready for all who open themselves to it through faith. Isn't that powerful? I think it's a cool statement. The consciousness of God. Well, where is that? Everywhere in us, in that super consciousness coming through our consciousness, connected and bringing forth as the abundant, everywhere present resource. We know God is everywhere. Yeah, God is everywhere. If God is everywhere, so is everything that we could ever need or want. Whether it's just a feeling of being loved, or it's something more. It's always there. And ready for all who open themselves to it through faith. And that's the big thing. That's the big thing. Can you open yourself up through faith? Because faith is that idea of confidence, that knowing that God is right here with me right now. Wow, God is with me right here, right now, and God is with you right here, right now, and we can do all things through God, moving in and through us. That should get you on fire right there. Yes? No? Yes. You see, God is prosperity. God is divine prosperity, and guess what? So are we. We're divine prosperity, ready to happen. And a lot of us have made it happen in our lives, haven't we? Yeah. Well, Fillmore reminds us of this. Jesus had no visible possessions, but he could supply thousands of persons with food through praising and giving thanks to the invisible spirit of plenty. In demonstrating prosperity, you should praise and give thanks for every little evidence of financial improvement. I want to jump back to the first paragraph first. I truly believe that Jesus fed the 5,000. I know Reverend Warren talked about that a few weeks ago, but I see it as the idea that he saw beyond any lack. He didn't see lack ever. There was always an abundance of everything, and he saw that because he saw as God saw. And if we all see as God sees, we will see the abundance of everything that we need. There is no lack. You might say today you don't have anything in your checkbook, but by golly, you're still standing here in great clothes, have a great car outside, have a home somewhere. You have friends, you have family, you have people that you can rely on right here in this congregation. So the thing is, there is more to what we don't have to go to that place of lack. We have all that we need. We have all the possessions we need. We have all the energy we need. And that's how Jesus did it, was through faith. He knew that there was no lack. And that's what we have to do. We have to have that faith, that undying faith. And in demonstrating prosperity, you should praise and give thanks for every little evidence of financial improvement. I pick up every penny I see. Do you do that? Sometimes I give them away too. But every single penny, and some people say, oh, don't pick it up because it's on heads or tails. I forget which one it's supposed to be, but it doesn't even matter to me. I'm going to pick it up because I see it as the abundance of God. That penny's there for me, and I can give it to somebody else if I want to or not. But you'd be surprised how somebody could get a penny and think it's the greatest thing on the world, and it is. We should value each and every penny and give thanks for each and every penny. How many times have we cleaned out a drawer and put all the change up on the top and go, wow, there's more change here than I thought? Or sometimes after Warren's taken off his jeans and thrown them in, and I throw them in the washer and wash them, I take out the jeans and I start finding change in the bottom of the wardrobe. It's not his anymore. No, I did the laundry and I get the change. So I have this little jar off the side of my washer and dryer that I put all the change in. He doesn't even know how much is in there, nor does he need to. But there is a Bible quote that says, from Luke, "Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over." I love this quote because it is true. It is capital T truth. And if you live from that, you won't put that in your mind. Put it in your mind. It makes a big difference. When we are giving thanks, we cannot be living in lack. It's impossible. We know the abundance of our own beingness when we live from that place of gratitude. You know, I do want to explain one thing, though. There are times that we can manifest any material thing we desire, isn't there? How many of you have pulled up out here and gotten the right parking space, the perfect parking space that you wanted before? Or you went to the mall and you said, "Oh, I don't want to walk 3 miles. I want to be right up front." Pull up right up front, right? You manifest that. Okay, that's the law of attraction. I want to explain that. But if you've been gifted with unexpected income and you felt that gratitude in your heart, then guess what that is? That's the law of abundance. That's the difference between the two. You know, the law of abundance doesn't have to produce anything, so to speak, but you can know it and feel it, and it builds your faith. It builds the idea that you know that God is here to provide for you, that you live in the abundance of all there is, and there is no lack. And that is huge. And the difference is that a lot of times law of attraction tends to be more material, where the law of abundance is usually spiritual. All right? And that's the difference between the two. Not that there's anything wrong with the law of attraction, because, you know, you can get what you want that way sometimes. But the thing is that we have to remember is no matter what we receive, what kind of prosperity we receive, we have to give thanks for it. We have to be in that place where we honestly feel the abundance of God, because everything that we get, everything that we get is a gift from God. And if we truly live in the abundance and we have gratitude in our heart, then what are we doing? We are accepting the gift from God. But how many times when you get something or somebody wants to give you something, you go, "Oh no, that's okay. I don't need it." Or you think, "Well, I really need it, but oh no, I can't take it." Or whatever. Do you go there? Yeah, somebody even wants to buy you dinner. "Oh no, let me get it." You don't even want to get it, but you say that because you think that's the polite thing to do, and then you're sitting there later going, "Dang it, I've gotten the last 3. I think they just do that on me." You're laughing. But that's the thing, you don't do that. If you can't do it, then don't do it. But if you can do it, then do it. Give from your heart. Don't give because you think you're obligated, or that you think. And then when somebody wants to give to you, you have to be willing to accept it, to receive it. Receive it as a gift from God. It changes our whole perspective in our minds. It changes how life. It's very important. You see, because every manifestation of divine prosperity comes from the inexhaustible energy of God and is spiritual in nature. So somebody wants to give you something. That's spiritual energy you're sharing. You know, people don't understand when they give to the church. You think that it's just because we need to get paid, or Sandra needs to get paid, or Angela needs to get paid, or we need to buy toilet paper. No, it's because it puts you in the flow of that inexhaustible energy of God, and it is spiritual in nature. You're building a community that we can all live in and share in spiritual ideas. And if you don't give from that place in your heart, then really you're not giving. You know, you're giving because, again, it's like going out to dinner. "Oh, let me get that check for you." "Oh, no, I'll get it." "No, I'll get it." You're doing that kind of a thing, you see? So if you're wanting to grow spiritually, then that's how you should give. Is from that spiritual idea that you are giving from your heart, from the abundance of all there is, that you know God is providing for you and giving you this great spiritual environment to grow from. I'm done with that lecture. But whatever the divine idea is, whatever is coming forth from divine mind to prosper us, it is up to us whether we receive it and are open to it. And we have to be freely open to receiving it, or else we do the same thing that we do when we go out to eat. We're just shushing it away. And if God was, if let's just pretend God was a person, and I'm not going to say man or female, but a person standing here, and God wanted to give you something, would you say no to God? No. But we do that, don't we? We do that in our own minds. We limit ourselves. We say no to God when we say, oh, that's not for me to do. I'm not that creative. I can't do that. I mean, it's unbelievable. Kay is a fantastic artist, and she put up a picture the other day of 2 dogs. I thought it was a photograph. I really did. I mean, it looked like somebody had just taken a photo of their dogs. It was so well done, but it's a piece of art that she created. Now, could I do that same exact thing? No, but I like to do art too sometimes, but maybe not to that degree, or maybe not to that level, but I'm not going to say I'm not creative. We all have our gifts and our talents and growth and what we can receive. But all that there is for all of us. We can all be tapped into that energy. You know, when we think about prosperity and we think about things, you know, we go to that place sometimes of blocking it off. And one of the big ones is paying bills, isn't it? Do you do that? Do you block yourself off? I mean, how many times do you worry about paying your bills? Nobody's going to raise their hand on that one. How many times do you struggle that if you pay this one bill, then you won't be able to pay that bill, or if you pay that bill, you won't be able to go out to eat, or if you pay that bill, I can't get those new shoes. Or maybe I'll get the new shoes and forget about the bills, right? And sometimes we just block our bills out. We just, you know, this is what I used to do before Warren, is I just piled them up on the side, and just, this is my basket for the bills, but pretty soon the basket would get so high, and then it's kind of like, oh, I think I need to look at a few of those and pay them. But about the time I get the notice, the electricity's going on, you know. But my accountant hated me back then, because I would just bring in my bank statements unopened, you know, to him. Yeah. But when you live like that, you're living from lack mentality. You really are. Because no matter what happens with our bills and whether we think we have enough money or not, the minute we stay in a program, or we get ourselves in a budget, or we start doing what we need to do, guess what? Everything falls into place, doesn't it? The bills get paid, we stay less stressed, we don't worry about having enough money, because everything falls into place. And even when you add it all up, and you think, oh, this is how much I need a month, and I only have this much, there's ways to recreate that bottom line to where we can make it fit into what we're taking in. You know, whether it's getting another job, or whether it's refinancing the bills, or calling and saying, hey, can we make adjustments here or there? And it's amazing what can happen in that time. But, you know, all of this, and maybe we need, you know, if somebody's feeling like that, maybe we need to do a prosperity class again, but because there are programs. But, you know, the thing is that none of the things that we do will work unless we change our thinking. That's really what it comes down to. We have to change our thinking. We have to come out of this place of where we are each and every day and open our minds and our hearts to the idea of that unlimited abundance. And even when we do that, we have to just continue every day to think thoughts of abundance and plenty. I have a video for special music today, and I chose it because it has some Catherine Ponder quotes in it. And did everybody get their $100 bill that I gifted you with? Yes. Wouldn't it be cool if we had enough money to be able to make our own money? No, I'm just kidding. But the first grouping of these quotes, and I think it goes down to, my words are, I'm not really sure. Anyway, it goes down so far, is on the video, okay? Some of these beginning quotes. I love Catherine Ponder. Have you read Catherine Ponder before for Prosperity? She goes way back. I think, how old is she now? Probably 94, 96, something like that. She lives in California. She doesn't travel anymore, but she used to go everywhere and give talks, and just a wonderful person, very spiritual. And she wrote bunches of books on abundance. But I love her affirmations. And the reason why I love her affirmations is because they speak from the spiritual idea of prosperity. Okay? They're not talking about the law of attraction, just manifesting things. No, they're talking from the spiritual aspect of prosperity, which makes a big difference. And so the song is, I am a magnet to money. And it's kind of a fun, catchy tune. I got the words on the bottom of the video for you to sing along if you want to. But the quotes are up there. Now, some of these towards the bottom, like I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks, those are from her book. And I love the way she writes that she's not asking or begging or trying to affirm something that isn't true. So that's why I'm saying these affirmations are so spiritual. And what do we do with something like this when we get it? What do? We practice it, don't we? We post it somewhere where we can say these. Pick out your favorites. Choose the ones that resonate with you. Highlight them or do whatever and practice them. Practice them for the next month. Say them over and over again, at least once a day. And you'll see that your life will change. Your thinking will change. But at the very bottom, I said, let's read it together. We love the highest and best in all people, and we now draw the highest and best people to us and to unity east of Atlanta. That is a powerful affirmation that can make a difference in our lives and the lives of this ministry. And whatever you choose off this sheet, please add that one affirmation to what you affirm. But once you realize that prosperity is divine, then you don't have to think of prosperity as just being a financial matter. All the other things will play together. Because divine prosperity is aligning with divine mind and receiving divine ideas to demonstrate in our lives. So, when you bring forth all that there is, by affirming these affirmations and by living this and by practicing it in your lives, I know that you will see a difference in your life and live from these principles, live from these ideas, live from these truths, and then we will all experience divine prosperity. Thank you for being here today. God bless you.